Hey everyone, really excited to introduce Akilesh Bapu to our team at Hightouch. Akilesh recently joined to lead our new AI agents area at Hightouch, where we're working on tons of new products using generative AI to really disrupt the marketing workflow. And we've actually known each other for quite a while now. I think we met 10 years ago.
I think it's been 10 years, yeah.
Back in the hackathon scene. So a lot has changed since then. So why don't we just start off with an introduction?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's exciting to be part of the team. I feel like these last 8 weeks have really flown by. But before Hightouch, I started a company called DeepScribe. We were in the healthcare AI space, and we were building an AI medical scribe for doctors. We're a Series B company, about 100 people in size, and we're deployed across 1,500 organizations across the US, including ones you may know, like the US Oncology Network, Osher Health, and others.
Yeah, I remember when the company was just getting started, back when you both lived in Berkeley, and you were still in school back then.
I was, yeah.
But obviously deciding what company to join next is a really big decision, especially after you started a company in the past. You probably had a totally different perspective than you would have back in college.
Yeah.
Just tell me about some of the factors you thought about that were important to you in deciding what to do next.
I thought about it quite a bit and spent a lot of time on this decision. There were sort of three aspects. I think the first is really the transformative impact I would have on an industry. With DeepScribe, for example, before we started the company, AI wasn't even a part of a conversation when people talked about technology in healthcare. But now I think AI is a part of like over half of patient conversations across the US. So I think when I think about Hightouch, I think marketing, for example, is going to look completely different in the next 5 years. And Hightouch is well positioned to be a part of that. So that was the first thing. The second thing is really thinking about this divide between foundation model companies and application companies. And it's very clear that kind of foundation models are going to commoditize, but it's unclear which application companies will really win. And I think the ones that will win have a unique data advantage, which Hightouch also has, and I can go into. And then the third is really the team. Like, would I bet on the team? I think Hightouch has an edge there, which is also pretty exciting.
Well, obviously I love to hear that, but let me double click on some of that. Especially the second point you mentioned. I think a lot of companies are talking about, or there's a lot of talk on Twitter or podcasts or whatever it is on, what's your moat when it comes to AI? Which companies are going to go away as the foundation models get better?
Yeah.
What is a unique advantage that you can build as a startup? How do you think about that, and what was attractive to you about Hightouch there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very clear that AI is only as good as the context that you give it. And you see this all over the news. I think folks are starting to notice that the data that's on the internet is becoming quite sparse and not leading to much improvements when it comes to model performance. So it's really about what net new data you can offer. And Hightouch kind of sits in this unique position where it's one of the very few companies that integrates directly with your first party data. Other than maybe like the Snowflakes or the AWSs, the infrastructure. So I think that's what makes Hightouch really unique in terms of like what net new data it can bring to the equation. So when you think about a ChatGPT or Claude that can sit on top of this data, now you have this like completely new data that you now have access to and can lead to much better, much more informed, much more personalized decisions.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing that I think about is the data on one side. Obviously, by connecting to data warehouses, we have just a really unique set of information.
Yeah.
But on the other side, we also connect to every single marketing application and channel out there, whether it's advertising or your website or your email. Yeah. And so we have context on like, what ideas have you actually tried in the past? How are these campaigns performed? Which obviously like a ChatGPT doesn't out of the box. Super interesting. You also mentioned team and how you wanted to join a winning team.
Yeah.
How do you define that? And just unpack that a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first part is definitely the culture. When you have a world in which a lot of the ideas tend to be the same across AI first companies, and when that happens, speed and execution really differentiates whether a company succeeds or not. And I think speed comes down to a few things. I think there's like work ethic, as well as just the ambition to win, to not go to sleep per se until the job is done. And I think those two things aren't present in a lot of the companies that I consider, but are very clear within Hightouch's team. We've had numerous late night whiteboarding sessions at the office, for example, which I think really exemplifies that. I think the second thing is really just growth rate and quality of growth. I know Hightouch's retention is off the charts. It's very seldom that you see a customer like switching off of Hightouch. It's almost impossible to that point. But I think the other is just how fast Hightouch is growing with a core product that isn't an AI product. You don't see that very often. You hear about all these companies going from 0 to 100 in 18 months off of the LLM wave. But the quality and the core infrastructure that Hightouch has built that's leading to that is pretty impressive. And I can only like dream of what's possible if you layer on AI on top of that.
You also mentioned you wanted to join a transformative opportunity. How do you think the marketer's workflow is going to transform?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think similar to how speed is everything for startups, I think execution speed is super important for marketers as well. I feel like marketing is only as good as the number of experiments that you can run. And right now, I think most of the marketers that we talk to are on this like quarterly system or monthly calendar, running like experiments on a quarterly basis. But imagine a world in which AI is constantly scanning through user behavior, suggesting new ideas for experiments to run on a daily basis. And not just giving you the ideas, but actually running them for you and helping you iterate at a speed that wasn't possible before. I think that's where it starts to get super exciting.
Totally agree. That whole velocity problem is something we've been trying to solve since the beginning of Hightouch.
Yeah.
And we made a lot of progress on it on the data side, but there's so many other problems marketers have that just can't really be tapped without something like generative AI. That's what really excites me as well. Last question to round it out. I'll give you a fun one. Internally, I think the team knows of you as not just leading the agents product, but also sort of the productivity expert, trying all the AI tools, trying Comment on day one when it comes out. What's your top hack or AI tool workflow that you think more people should be doing?
Yeah, that was a good one. Lock Comment, by the way, everybody should be using it. But I think in terms of the I guess the fairly like non-obvious hack that I use is to use Cursor or Claude Code, even if you're not coding. I feel like they're just so much better than the web interfaces because they remember context on pretty much everything you do and are extremely good at net planning and multi-agent workflows, and you can go cross that one pretty quickly. So I use them all the time, even if I'm looking up like answers to like trivia style questions. They're just really good.
Super interesting. Anyways, really excited to have you on the team and really excited to share more publicly about all the things we've been building with AI. So thank you all for watching.
Yeah, thanks.